Previous to a retired return to his hometown rural roots of Eakly, Oklahoma, Mike Moore won a sweeping Game 4 of Major League Baseball's 1989 World Championship Series.
And tonight, Ricky Henderson leads off, per usual for the A's. Carney Lansford batting second. Same lineup as last night. Canseco hit a home run yesterday. Mark McGuire is the cleanup hitter. Dave Henderson, the biggest night of all, 2 homers and a double. He hits fifth. Terry Steinbach does the catching. The second baseman is the switch-hitting Tony Phillips. Walt Weiss is the shortstop, and the winning pitcher in Game 2 goes to the mound in Game 4, Mike Moore.
After MLB legend and Hall of Famer Willie Mays tossed out a first pitch, Moore took his place on the mound at Candlestick Park and went to work against what was considered to be an extremely talented and dominant batting lineup for the San Francisco Giants.
And for the Giants, he faces Butler, Oberkfell, and Clark. Mitchell in the cleanup spot. Matt Williams hits fifth. Terry Kennedy is the catcher. Greg Litton is in the lineup at second base with Thompson on the bench. Donnell Nixon in right. Don Robinson, a great hitting pitcher.
Ironically, Oakland not only beat the Giants in Game 4 behind the arm of Mike Moore, in only a second at-bat of his major league career, Moore revealed to the world that he was a great hitting pitcher.
You doubt that Robinson has a scouting report on Moore, don't you?
Has trouble with the thrown ball.
And it's hit in the air to center field, and Butler races back, and it's over his head. Henderson comes in to score. Weiss is being waved in. He scores on the first hit by an American League pitcher since 1979 in a World Series game.
Although a surprise to ABC television announcers, Caddo County, Oklahoma baseball fans were, knowing the history of Mike Moore, tuned in with expectations of plate production. As one of the most dominant high school pitchers ever in the state of Oklahoma, Moore had hit over 500 his senior year for the Eakly High School Eagles in 1978. He had hit a home run shot at Dodger Stadium for the USA Collegiate All-Star team versus Japan in 1980. Moore went 1 for 2, with that one being a towering home run blast for Oral Roberts University against Oklahoma State in the NCAA 1981 Midwest Regional. He also held one of the greatest hitters of all time hitless in an Oral Roberts defeat of San Diego State in that same 81 Regional. With a limited number of at-bats, this rising pitching star hit 500 at the AAA professional level in Salt Lake City, Utah. Moore had earned justifiable respect by the time he approached the plate again in the top of the 4th inning.
Mike Moore, whose double in the second inning, the 2-run double over Butler's head, has been the key hit in the game, will be coming to the plate.
I wonder if Mike hit on the sandlots of Eakly, Oklahoma.
Well, how many sandlots would there be in Eakly, Oklahoma?
Maybe one. Mike from a town 70 miles west of Oklahoma City, Eakly, Oklahoma, town of 300 people, about 13 miles from Binger, where Johnny Bench is from.
You notice how much respect Mike Moore is getting now that he had that double. They're pitching very carefully to him. It's 2-0, 3-0. No doubt the scouting report on him is pitch around him. Maybe they got a hold of the mirror.
.30 pitch. If you've ever seen a take sign in effect, it's right there, 3-1.
Yeah, I got to think he was probably, with 300 people in the town, the #1 pitcher on his high school team.
Johnny was telling us before the game he played against his older brother.
Ripped back into the glove of Lacoste. Wow. Parker may eventually lose his job as the DH the way this is going. Moore with a double and then a shot back through the middle. 2 down.
Well, I always thought third base was the reflex position, and this is, look what I found. Oh yeah.
Following Moore's hard-hitting and solid 6 innings of pitching in the clinching Game 4, the A's bullpen closed the door on Giant hopes.
Phillips flips to Eckersley. Yes.
Before celebrating triumph in this '89 World Series championship with his Oakland A's teammates, Mike Moore and millions of others survived a massive and tragic 6.9 magnitude earthquake that jolted the Bay Area just 10 days earlier.
They've had two great pitching performances against us. Stewart pitched a great ball game, and I thought he had an excellent split finger go along with his 92-mile-an-hour fastball, and then Mike Moore comes along and that day the second game even had a better one than Stewart.
Flash forward to the bottom of the fourth inning. Dave Parker barely by inches just misses a home run. Candy Maldonado with the hesitation, allowing Jose Canseco to score, and he fails to get Dave Parker at second base, so the Oakland A's take.
I'll tell you what, we're having an
Baseball commissioner at the time, Fay Vincent, addresses the press and stadium crowd following the catastrophic earthquake.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are postponing the game because there is no power in the stadium. We would like you to leave in an orderly way. I don't believe there's any great danger, but we have no idea when the power is going to be on, and we have to get people out of here before it gets dark.
Gentlemen, power has been interrupted. The game has been called. Can you please leave the stadium in an orderly manner?
60-some thousand fans at Candlestick Park tonight. The ballpark itself did suffer some damage. No one hurt or injured or killed there, we're told. The third game of the World Series, however, was understandably canceled. When it can be rescheduled, we don't know. We don't know what happened in Oakland tonight, for that matter.
With future tragedy unknown to mankind, World Championship Series baseball in the Bay Area was stirring with excitement on both sides of the bridge in 1989. Dave Stewart had just shut out San Francisco to win Game 1. Hall of Fame pitcher and former three-time World Series winner Jim Palmer shared his personal take on the Giants' situation as they were to face Mike Moore in Game 2.
They're going to have to score some runs to beat a better pitcher than Dave Stewart.
Good pitching matchup as we get set for Game 2 of the 1989 World Series. Rick Russell, who won 17 for the Giants, and Mike Moore, who won 19 for Oakland.
Well, fans, it all comes down to this moment. This is where it all gets decided. Johnson steps in, checks the signs, makes a few adjustments. This is a classic confrontation. He's digging in. Here's the delivery. And there it goes. He's going back, way back. It is going. It is gone.
Pepsi, a generation ahead.
The ball game's over.
Mike Moore's Moneyball-style free agent acquisition by the A's in 1989 created an avenue of personal success unknown in his previous 7 years in the major leagues. As Moore walked to the mound in Game 2 of the '89 World Series, it was with a confidence that prevailed throughout Oakland's organization and reflected the strategic genius of manager Tony La Russa.
And going to the mound will be Mike Moore, who pitched in relative obscurity and anonymity, though those in baseball knew he had a terrific arm. In several seasons with the Seattle Mariners, became a free agent, signed with Oakland, and was 19-11 this season for the A's. And let's get the inside pitch on Mike Moore of Oakland as we check in with Steve Sachs of the New York Yankees.
Mike Moore is an outstanding all-around pitcher. He's got three very good pitches: fastball, slider, and a forkball. His out pitch to the right-handed hitter is going to be the slider away from him. For the left-handed hitter, it's going to be the forkball, but he has a tendency to throw that forkball for wild pitches. In essence, though, Mike is a good closer. As a matter of fact, he's one of the few guys around the league who can reach back and get something extra on that fastball. Also, he's very tough to run on.
Hall of Famer and World Series champion Joe Morgan visited pregame with Giants center fielder Brett Butler about any change of strategy in the upcoming Game 2.
Well, you and Robbie Thompson ignite the Giants' offense. You didn't do much last night. Mike Moore is a similar pitcher. Do you plan anything different against him than you did Dave Stewart?
Well, maybe we need to try to take a few more pitches. I think being the first game of the World Series, there was a few jitters. I know I had them the first time up. Maybe tried to do a little bit too much after they scored 3 or 4 runs.
Defensively for the A's, and their lineup is the same as last night. Ricky Henderson, Dave Henderson, and Jose Canseco in the outfield. The infield of Carney Lansford, Walt Weiss, Tony Phillips, and Mark McGuire. Terry Steinbach is back of the plate. Mike Moore is on the mound.
Eakly, Oklahoma's Mike Moore would proceed to strike out 7 Giant batters in his 7 innings of work in a Game 2 5-1 Oakland victory in the '89 World Series.
Williams got on strikes. Third time he has struck out in 5 at-bats. 2 out, bases empty, and the 1-2 pitch to Maldonado is a half swing, and down he goes. 2 strikeouts to Moore. Giants come in the second. It remains 1-0 Oakland. So a 2 out, the 2-2 to Clark is swung on and missed, but it bounces away from Steinbach, who has to throw him out at first, and he does. And down goes Williams, who has gotten his number thus far in the World Series, 0 for 6 and 4 strikeouts. 4 in the game for Mike Moore.
Moore continued to strike out Giant batters while winning one of his 4 career postseason victories.
Kennedy got on strikes. So Mike Moore, working on 10 days rest, has struck out 5. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And down goes Thompson. And that's 6 strikeouts for Moore. At the end of 4.5, 5-1 A's.
Mike Moore concluded his part in Game 2 with a walk-off 7th-inning strikeout before giving way to the A's bullpen.
And Kennedy gone, and they're 2 for 31, the bottom 5, as we go to the bottom of the 7th.
Now on video cassette, there's nothing like a major league team, and they were nothing like it. Tom Berenger, Charlie Sheen, and Corbin Burnson. Major League on video cassette from Paramount.
Winning 2 games in the 1989 World Series with the Oakland A's, Mike Moore not only became a champion of the highest caliber, he elevated himself into a realm of the best when it comes to Major League Baseball pitchers from the great state of Oklahoma. Moore's career 1,667 MLB strikeouts is tops among any and all red dirt, red-blooded, born and raised Oklahoma flamethrowers. Before basking in the glory of a World Series baseball championship with his teammates from the American League Western Division, Oakland, the opportunity to even have that chance was challenged by the American League's Eastern Division winners from Toronto. With Oklahoma baseball fans tuned in and anticipating the experience of potential World Series excitement, Mike Moore was called upon and did his part to increase the Oakland A's chances of advancing to the World Series. This in Game 2 of the American League Championship Series held at Oakland's Alameda County Coliseum. While pregame hype focused on his opponents, Mike Moore quietly warmed up as expert baseball announcers Bob Costas and Tony Quebec shared their scouting report insight.
Mike Moore, 19-11.
Nasty.
Very nasty. Wicked stuff. ERA 2.61, and he threw 3 shutouts. We'll check the lineups when we come back.
Bo knows baseball. Bo knows football. Bo knows basketball, too. Bo knows tennis? No. Bo knows weights.
Bo, you don't know diddly.
Seems Bo knew everything except how to play hockey, the population of Eakly, or whether the A's or Blue Jays would advance to the '89 World Series. With manager Tony La Russa and pitching coach Dave Duncan looking on, Mike Moore eliminated some, if not all, of the doubt existing on a beautiful baseball day in Oakland. A day not to be forgotten.
Mosby, Wilson, McGriff. Bell in the cleanup spot in left. Fernandez at short, not your typical number 5 hitter. Witt will catch, Gruber at third, Mazzilli to DH again, and Liriano at second base. Mike Moore went 19-11 this year. He threw the only 3 complete game shutouts on the staff, but they rely so heavily on their bullpen. They had 17 other combined shutouts where the bullpen finished up. He has, as Tony said, wicked stuff. Used to be just fastball, slider at Seattle and too much in the middle of the plate. But he's developed a hard forkball. He'll cut the fastball more now, and he's on the corners more. Plus, he's come to a better team with good defense. You add it up, he goes 19-11.
Mike Moore continued a winning tone in Game 2 for Oakland with his very first pitch of that contest. Toronto-based cable network TSN carried what they considered the dim highlights of that particular day.
Up front today, Game 2 in the American League Championship Series. Yesterday, Blue Jay veteran Dave Stieb didn't have quite enough, and that doubled the pressure on the youngster on the mound for Game 2. 20 years after his dad helped the Miracle Mets, young Todd Stottlemyre took to the mound for the most important game of his life. Up front today, Game 2 in Oakland.
Todd Stottlemyre and Mike Moore, the starting pitchers in Game 2. Stottlemyre with a 10.13 ERA in 3 starts last year against Oakland. Moore, an important free agent signing by the A's last winter.
Mark McGwire pulled one down the left field line in the 4th to score Carney Lansford and put the A's ahead for good.
Meanwhile, the Toronto offense continues to struggle, and even when the hitters make contact, players like Tony Phillips were on hand to rob Lloyd Mosby of a base hit and save what would have been the tying run. Nelson Liriano was stranded at third. And while the Blue Jay bats were silent, Oakland's big hitters were getting to Stottlemyre. Dave Parker hit the first pitch of the Oakland 6th into the right field bleachers for his first ever postseason home run. The Jays' big hitters threatened in the 8th as Toronto loaded the bases with nobody out. McGriff delivered 1 run with a single to right field, and Bell delivered another when he grounded into a double play. But the rally fell far short. Oakland prevailed 6-3, leads the series 2-0.
In what would be his first ever postseason game against Toronto at the Coliseum in Oakland, this in the '89 American League Championship Series, Mike Moore would hold the Blue Jays to only 1 run on 3 hits within what would become a standard postseason 7 innings of work.
Ricky Henderson comes in, Walt Weiss goes out, and it's Ricky's play. 3 up, 3 down.
Previous to becoming an American League and World Series champion, Mike Moore would find himself wrapped up within the excitement of Oakland's Western Division pennant-clinching game against the Texas Rangers on the evening of September 27, 1989.
Gary Steinbach behind the plate, and Mike Moore makes his 35th appearance and start of 1989. He won his 18th victory a couple of starts ago, that on the 19th against Cleveland. That set a personal career high for Moore. Against the Rangers, Moore has had 19 games, all of them starts against Texas. He's 8-4 with a 3.90 ERA, and that includes a start and a win over the Rangers this year at Arlington on June the 11th.
Moore started the potential pennant-clinching game by retiring the side in the first inning, which featured announcers Bob Carpenter and Steve Busby, along with impressive defensive plays for Oakland.
And on a breaking ball, Baines strikes out. Number 1 for Mike Moore. Breaking ball down and away. Right side, McGwire to the pitcher. Never bothered to use the glove, and it's a good thing he didn't. Just beat Manrique. Nice play by the Oakland defense. 2 outs.
And the positioning of McGwire and Moore on this play is textbook. The way they handled the ball was not exactly the way you'd like to see it done. Bare hand to bare hand. But the throw was there in time. McGwire with those big hands. Both he and Mike Moore pretty good sized guys, and that's not really as difficult a play as you might think with the size of their hands.
Mike Moore is a former Oral Roberts University collegiate player coming out of ORU in Tulsa. He was a #1 draft choice of Seattle. Had a lot of losing seasons with that club and finally got out to a winner. High chopper, and he'll retire. The Rangers 1-2-3 on 3 balls hit pretty softly. That's how the 3rd game of this series gets underway.
On September 27, 1928, the A's Lefty Grove fanned the White Sox in the 7th inning with just 9 pitches.
Top of the 3rd, Mike Stanley hitting for the Rangers. He's the number 7 man in the lineup. Mike Moore really has them swinging at air tonight. He's from Eakly, Oklahoma. Mike Moore is. Good fastball down low. The population of Eakly, Oklahoma goes down every year when the Moore family leaves for baseball. Population 250. And then a few of them depart. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Stanley swinging at a pitch in the dirt, but he got a piece of it. Talk about a new lease on life, Steve. In 7 years, Mike Moore was 65 and 96 with an ERA of almost 4.5 and only 2 shutouts. This year he's had a chance to win 19 games. He's already thrown 3 shutouts, and he at times this year has been the ERA leader.
You know, Mike Moore, of course, struggling up there in Seattle. And it has to be difficult. That's not the easiest park to pitch in the American League. Probably the most difficult pitcher's park. Coming to one of the best, if not the best, pitcher's parks here in Oakland. And an obvious difference in team. A little more consistent offensively, defensively. 1-2 pitch. Got him swinging. Like Mike Moore came back with that split-fingered pitch, and Espy is gone. That is strikeout number 2 for the A's right-hander.
Mike Moore seemed to be pitching at his best in this potential clincher as Santa himself showed up at Oakland's Alameda County Coliseum to support the A's pennant-capturing endeavor.
Moore with a 2-2 pitch. Walt Weiss. Double pumps, and the side retired in 1-2-3 fashion. Rangers gone again here in the 6th, and we'll go to the bottom half. The Athletics by 5.
We're bringing back an old favorite.
Who? Me?
It's McDonald's Big Double Cheeseburger Reunion.
Well, it's about time.
For a limited time, get a double cheeseburger for just 99 cents.
Now, that's a fair price.
99 cents for the big taste of 2 all-beef patties and golden melted cheese.
The old double cheeseburger for an eensy-weensy price trick.
So hurry in for McDonald's Big Double Cheeseburger. For a limited time, it's just 99 cents.
May I say, that's a lovely price. Thank you, Eddie.
Trying to find a solution to Mike Moore here. Moore has only given up 1 base hit. He's faced the minimum through 6 innings, and well, he has been tough. And I think this really points out, Bob, how an important an addition Mike Moore has been to this Oakland staff.
Well, we're seeing some of the dimensions of the Oakland ball club tonight, Steve. We've seen the power, we've seen the defense, we've seen the pitching. The only thing we haven't seen that really hasn't been necessary is the speed that can make things happen. But the Oakland Athletics all around looking very good tonight. And the Rangers have a lot of work to do to try to get back into this one.
Oakland trying to wrap up the American League West with a victory here tonight. And Rangers trying to put a stop to it. Cecil Espy to start things off in the 7th inning. Rangers facing Mike Moore, and back with the play-by-play, not Batman, but Bob Carpenter.
Holy playoffs, Robin. Espy hitting ahead of the Rangers' second baseman, Fred Manrique. Mike Moore catches the outside corner with a fastball. Moore was an All-American in '81. A Sporting News All-American at Oral Roberts University. He was 12-2 in college that year. And he doesn't walk people often, but he gives the Rangers a leadoff runner here in the 7th.
Despite a walk to start the 7th inning, Mike Moore did not allow a run as he continued his untroubled cruise through a full 7 innings against the Rangers in this pennant-clinching contest.
There's a double play ball. Should be easy for Weiss. He stayed away from Espy, and every time the Rangers get a runner tonight, he dies in a twin killing. It's happened 3 times. 7th inning stretch time. The A's are getting closer, leading the Rangers 5-0 after 6.5.
As the end-of-game excitement escalated, Moore waited and watched patiently from the A's bench for a celebration of victory and a Western Division pennant to begin.
Busby strikes out on a low inside breaking ball. 1 out. Pop fly, short center. Gallego out. They're 1 out away. By far, they have the most wins in baseball. They're after number 96 here tonight. Rafael Palmeiro, 0 for 3, is the Ranger hitter.
As the A's celebrated championships in '89, Hall of Famer Johnny Bench shares his thoughts some 30 years later with an intrigued audience at Mike Moore's 2019 Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame induction.
He was dominating, and I actually went over to see him pitch. They may have been playing finger, but I came over to see him pitch, and he was impressive. Well, when you have velocity like Mike did, you know, and you can overpower certain guys, but he developed a breaking pitch. He had an idea on how to pitch, and of course, when he went to college at Doral Robertson and pitched and went out as the draft choice for the Seattle Mariners. And, you know, obviously we know that he's had such great success. I mean, he's won over 160 games, I think, which is really hard to do. And, he knows what it is to work hard. 2 people from Caddo County in the Hall of Fame, man. You deserve this honor, and what a great career you've had.
It's almost a business-like, rather subdued celebration by this Oakland club, as if they expected all along they would be the Western Division champions. They certainly are carrying themselves like that. Dave Stewart will pitch tomorrow. Mike Moore did the job tonight. Steve Busby, it's the best club in baseball. There's no doubt about it.
Mike, Eakly, Oklahoma, all the way to the World Series. It's got to be a mind-boggling experience.
You're telling me. It was, you know, growing up, I mean, I grew up on a peanut farm. And, you know, even in those days, there was just the game of the week. I mean, baseball now is sensationalized. I mean, you can't turn on the TV in the summertime without seeing a baseball game somewhere. But, you know, my memories of growing up were, you know, really, I wasn't a baseball fan, except I was a Johnny Bench fan. Johnny was the same age as my oldest brother, so I was a wee little lad when he was at Binger, and I remember watching him play high school baseball. So I would go in and watch Johnny play on the game of the week because the Reds were on a lot, but if he wasn't on, I really didn't care a whole lot about it. You know, baseball was just kind of what we did. We played sports. I mean, we played fall baseball, we played basketball in between them, which was actually my first love, I'll have to admit. But I figured out I could throw a baseball 100 miles an hour, that maybe basketball wasn't the thing I should go for. But that's just kind of what we did. And you know, eventually from Oral Roberts, I end up 2 months in AA and then in the big leagues. And it's just kind of what you do. You know, you try to figure out where you fit in and how good you really are. And I was blessed to be able to do it for 14 years.
Preceding the A's 1989 Western Division Championship celebration, Oklahoma's Mike Moore found himself in the middle of Major League Baseball's Midsummer All-Star Classic.
The first time the game was played in Anaheim, 16 future Hall of Famers participated in the longest All-Star game ever.
There's a long drive to left field off the bat of Perez. Back goes Jastrzemski looking up. Home run. National League leads 2-1 in the 15th.
Now, 22 years later to the day, the Stars return to the Big A, set to twinkle in the twilight. Major League home run leader Kevin Mitchell. His teammate Will Clark, the NL's top vote getter. The remarkable Bo Jackson. Another Bay Area Bomber, Mark McGwire of the defending champion Oakland A's of the American League. The Wizard, Ozzie Smith. The irrepressible Kirby Puckett. And Tony Gwynn of the Padres and Wade Boggs of the Red Sox. 8 batting titles between them. NBC Sports welcomes you to the 60th Midsummer Classic. From Anaheim, it's the All-Star Game.
All-Star Pregame is brought to you by America's Pork Producers. Pork, the other white meat. And by Michelin. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
With every proud hometown fan adjusting their TV antenna, a farm boy from Eakly in Caddo County, Oklahoma, is introduced to the world on one of baseball's greatest stages of all time.
From the Oakland Athletics, number 21, Mike Moore.
The 1989 All-Star Game is brought to you by your Toyota dealer. Whatever car or truck you choose, you'll love the quality. Who could ask for anything more? And by Amoco. For 100 years, you've come to expect more from a leader.
Vin Scully and Tom Seaver call Moore's 5th inning All-Star moment.
2 changes for the American League. Gary Gaetti takes over at third and Mike Moore on the mound. Mike Moore comes out of the bullpen. And he'll be pitching to Mike Scioscia, followed by Ozzie Smith, and then Tony Gwynn. Fastball strike. Interesting turnabout for Mike Moore. He was 30 games under 500 in his Mariners career, and it ended when he signed with Oakland as a free agent. And suddenly he's an all-star. Last year, 6-4 in the Kingdome, 3-11 on the road. But I guess the biggest thing, the way La Russa and his pitching coach Dave Duncan have worked him in the pitching staff. Moore last work on Thursday for Tony. He worked 7 innings on Thursday, so he's well rested.
You wonder if Tony is going to run his pitchers out there 1 inning at a time, which he's done so far. All the pitchers for the American League have been starting pitchers. Stewart started, Ryan started, Gubazov, Moore, and he's got the bullpen ready. There's one more starter down there, and Greg Swindell. Then he's and Chuck Finley. Then he's got Henneman, Jones, Plesac, and Russell.
That's all.
That's all. Maybe so. It looks like exactly the way things are going. Swindell will pitch the next inning for the American League. Only problem there is if you have the extra inning game, then you get down with these short relievers, which the American League has at the end, and those guys aren't used to going more than 1 or 2 innings at most.
Well, it's 5-2 in favor of the American League, and the National League's going to have to go to the whip if they're going to get close. Mike Scioscia in his first all-star at bat hits one down the left field line, foul and out of play. Sitting quietly, one of the premier relief pitchers, Doug Jones. And look where he's decided to sit, far from the madding throng.
That's a great job.
Isn't that something? I want to be alone. 3-2. A slicing fly ball to left. Bo Jackson is there. Ozzie Smith will be coming up with 1 out here in the 5th inning. And certainly you may remember Game 5, 1985 National League Championship Series. Tom Niedenfuhr of the Dodgers, and St. Louis set on its ear. Oh, it happens every 4,000 at bats.
Oh, yeah.
Like clockwork.
It's just timing. It's not how many you hit, it's when you hit them. The Wizard can do it.
He is incredible. Single to center and fouled out. 1 for 2. We were asking him once about his acrobatic ability, and he said as little kids they used to go near a furniture store. There's a lot of sawdust on the floor, and they'd take a sway back board and put it between 2 sawhorses, and they would bounce on the board and then fly into the sawdust. Then eventually he got to where they were using trampoline. And he does a rather remarkable backflip sometimes in taking his position. And when he was on the DL, his son, his little boy, ran out and did the backflip. Osborne Smith.
tried one of those back?
Oh, no. Thank you very much.
Have you ever thought about
No. No. 2-2.
All I do is see pain if I think about doing that.
Big breaking ball down at the ankles. So 3-2. The National League has had one hit since the first inning, and that's a scratch single by Tony Gwynn in the third. So they've been completely shut down, and all Lasorda can do is stand and lose weight. Chopper to the right side. There's Julio Franco. 2 down.
Mike Moore, the pitcher here for the American League, has always been a favorite of Dave Duncan, the pitching coach for Athletics, and Tony La Russa. La Russa brought Duncan with him, one of his coaches, his pitching coach. There you can see the two of them together. They have been together when they were in Chicago and now in Oakland. Tony La Russa's right-hand man, Dave Duncan. And Moore always loved him when he pitched at Seattle. Last year, second half of last year, he was 5-6. So what? Yeah, but he had an earned run average of about 2.25. And that convinced the Oakland A's to go out and sign him, certainly with the suggestion of La Russa and Duncan.
Off speed for a strike. 1-1. By the way, we have been negligent in not spotlighting the coaches, and there's been a change in the coaches for the National League on the line. See if we can salute them. Half swing by Tony Gwynn. Coaching at first base is the National League honorary captain, Don Drysdale. Went into the Hall of Fame in 1984. Coaching over at third, the skipper of the Montreal Expos, who formerly was here with the California Angels, Buck Rogers. And it's still 5-2 American League.
With Hall of Famer Don Drysdale looking on, Moore's walk-off fifth-inning all-star strikeout of Tony Gwynn remains a highlight of Oklahoma baseball fans to this day.
And I would think for a baseball fan, this had pretty much everything you want, especially in the early innings.
Folks, it doesn't get any better than this. You had a little bit of everything. You had power, you had speed, you had running, you had defense. You had just about everything, and they got a great show here tonight.
And so the National and the American League with handshakes all around. Good show. We'll be back in Anaheim for a few more post-game remarks coming up right after this.
It's McRib time at McDonald's. Grilled pork and that sassy sauce. Add fries and a Coke and you're talking chomp, but only for a limited time. The good time, great taste of McDonald's. McRib chomp.
With minimal thoughts of playing in an all-star game or Major League Baseball's World Series Classic, Mike Moore spent his first 7 professional seasons within the Seattle Mariners organization. Moore was drafted number 1 in 1981 after an All-American NCAA Division I performance for Oral Roberts University in Tulsa. Although exciting within the realm of the baseball world, being selected number 1 in the June summer draft in 1981 translated into starting a pro career with the worst team in the major leagues at that time. Moore was sent to the Mariners AA farm team in Lynn, Massachusetts. He started 13 games, pitched 94 innings, and earned 6 victories while helping the Sailors conclude the second half of their season. In 1982, Mike Moore pitched 1 game at the AAA level, this before being called up to the major leagues by the Seattle Mariners for the remainder of their season. As a rookie, Moore would start 27 games and post his first 7 wins at baseball's highest level of competition. In the course of his rookie season, Moore witnessed baseball history as Hall of Fame pitcher Gaylord Perry won his 300th career game, this against the Yankees in Seattle's Kingdome on May 6 of 1982.
And a congratulations to his teammates. And ladies and gentlemen, you're in on baseball history. There's one of the great ones right there.
The following year in 1983, the Mariners assigned Mike Moore to their AAA-level Salt Lake City club, where he began the season starting in 11 games before being called up to the big leagues, never to return to the minors again. Moore would start 21 games for the Mariners and conclude his season with a 6-8 one-loss record. During Moore's evolution years, important eyes were always watching.
Mike Moore, big Oklahoman, 6'4", 205 pounds, born in Eakly, Oklahoma.
Although what seemed to be a struggle in Seattle, baseball blessings would be lurking nearby in disguise.
Mike Moore, the first player picked in the free agent draft of 1981. First player in the nation.
Quite possibly disguised as White Sox manager Tony La Russa and pitching coach Dave Duncan.
Ground ball, shortstop side, fielded by Owen. He throws. Fisk out.
So the count 2-2. Struck him out.
Although a few family members, friends, and fans from Oklahoma would make the trip to Seattle to watch Moore perform in the Kingdome, most would tune in to see him pitch via satellite television in the early to mid-1980s. In the very first few years, Moore's mom and dad, Oleta and Vernie, would visit nearby neighbors in Eakly to witness and experience the enjoyment of their son's continued progress at the Major League Baseball level.
Well, yeah, back when those satellites, first came out, and we had one. And, several different satellites that you'd have to crank this thing around, but I knew about which one. And, but anyway, his parents knew when he was going to be a pitching. And, I'd find it, and, they'd pull in the house. Just about game time. His mother and dad would pull in there, and we'd watch him play ball.
And play ball he did for 7 years for Seattle, with a touch of greatness and a sprinkle of strife. If relating to two extremities defines bipolar, then baseball for Mike Moore in Seattle was just that.
Ooh, good fastball. Foul tip. Washington asking the umpire where it was, and he said it was a good strike. Swung right through it. This kid is a good strikeout pitcher. He's averaged over 150 strikeouts here. There's one ripped right at the right fielder.
Compliments from Yankee announcers seemed to fit the moment of action, but criticism while working a 3-up, 3-down inning remains a mystery to this day.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Cerrone. There's Mike Moore. Right to the shortstop, Quinones takes his time, and there's 2 outs.
Well, that was a good pitch to hit, Billy.
2 strikes on a hitter. That's not a very good pitcher's pitch.
No.
Mike Moore doesn't impress me too much right now, Phil, at this point. I've just seen him a couple times, and I'm not very impressed.
No, not today. Of course, this is one of those days that the hitters are making the pitchers not look impressive.
Wayne Tolleson struck out in the 2nd inning, and he takes the ball. Tolleson went after a high fastball that might have been on the strike zone. The Yankees tied it in that 2nd inning. Palrudo led off with a double, and then Claudel Washington got him in with a 2-out double. That'll be caught by Quinones, and that'll retire the side. Little loop in the short. 3 up, 3 down. At the end of 3.5 innings of play, the Yankees 3 and the Seattle Mariners 3.
Prior to becoming Oklahoma's first ever first-round, first pick in the 1981 Major League Draft as an Oral Roberts University Titan, Mike Moore also pitched for the Liberal BJs in 1979 and 1980. This during his summer breaks from school. Within the course of Moore's time off, he was selected twice as Pitcher of the Year and All-American at the National Baseball Congress World Series. Moore was acknowledged as one of the best BJs of all time during the 2019 National Baseball Congress Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. Behind the young and strong arm of Moore, the Liberal BJs won the World Series hosted by the National Baseball Congress in 1979. Before ORU and Liberal, Mike Moore posted the most single-season wins, 24, and career wins, 85, of any Oklahoma high school player of the time. Moore also posted the national single-season strikeout record of 360 batters during his senior year at Eakly High School in 1978. Moore compiled a .05 earned run average while pitching 144 innings for the Eagles of Eakly, Oklahoma. Moore's best friend, Darryl Scales, shares thoughts of their baseball time together at Eakly.
I'll tell you what, you could catch Mike. Well, heck, when he was going to big leagues, I'd catch him with a fielder's glove, but he'd break the pocket out of it. But I caught him so much that, you know, once you get your hand beat up, you get to where you learn how to catch it without beating your hand up. Mike always had good control. He always threw hard.
Following his senior season, Moore was drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals, but turned them down along with a basketball scholarship offer from the University of Oklahoma to attend ORU.
Mike was a good shooter. I mean, if we had the three-point line, I don't know if he would have averaged any more points because people would have went out there and guarded him more. You know what I mean? Because he could shoot it, he kept the lane open. It don't seem right, but it made it easier for me to work.
Previous to an Oklahoma State high school championship, a National Baseball of Congress championship, an American League Western Division championship, an ALCS championship, and a World Series championship, Mike Moore was an OK Kids Little League Pee Wee champion in 1970. Eakly's Little League star would toss a no-hitter against future five-time MLB All-Star Joe Carter and the Millwood Minks. Eakly would then squeak out a 13-12 high-scoring victory against some Okies from Muskogee and proceed to being crowned Pee Wee champions of Oklahoma as Moore struck out 12 batters in 5 innings against the Sooners from Del City. OK Kids baseball in Oklahoma is where most young players discover a successful start towards school ball, Legion ball, college ball, and, for a chosen few, the big leagues. Brian Baker, former Little Leaguer from nearby Lokiba Sickles, remembers facing Mike Moore while growing up on the red dirt ball fields of North Caddo County.
He was just so much taller than everybody, first of all. So he's a really tall kid, and then he's standing on top of the pitcher's mound, so he just looked like he was 10 foot tall. And then he threw the ball harder than anything we'd ever seen before. So we remember, you know, talking amongst ourselves even then thinking, gosh, if this guy can't make the major leagues, what does it take? So, you know, we thought he probably had a pretty good shot even back then.
Mike Moore would make good on that shot at the big leagues. While most Little Leaguers chase the dream just to have to wake up someday, it was the dream that chased Mike Moore.
Friday night lights in this western Oklahoma neighborhood are diamond-shaped. Pitch and catch mean what they have for most of the past century.
Second base, Jerry to second.
We caught the Lokiba Sickles baseball team preparing for district play.
Twos, you're on the bases first. Get a helmet.
On the mound for batting practice and simulated games, a guy named Mike Moore, who grew up in Eakly, Oklahoma, a few pastures west. He pitched 14 seasons in the show, for the Seattle Mariners first, the Detroit Tigers last, and in the middle for the Oakland A's, where he pitched in 2 World Series and won 2 games for the 1989 team that won it all.
When you're on a team of superstars, I mean, you just kind of do your job and live in anonymity, and it's a good thing.
You seem to like that.
I do like that a lot.
My pitch is he's the greatest pitcher born and raised in Oklahoma.
Moore himself lived in Arizona for a while after he finished playing, but he was always drawn closer to home and closer to that time when he was a kid.
You can give me a small town anytime over the big city.
These boys weren't even born when Moore threw his last major league pitch, but players like senior Alex Leon count themselves lucky for the past 6 seasons.
I don't know how to say it, but he's something more than that. Something special to have here.
Retired at age 36, Mike Moore made a pretty good living for those 14 major league seasons. As a volunteer coach now, the wage gap is huge, but the rewards for him and for these Panthers are worth more than all the diamonds in the world.
And now for your 1993 Detroit Tigers. First, the winningest manager in Tigers history. In his 15th season with the club, number 11,
Sparky Anderson. And the Tigers starting lineup, leading off and playing left field, number 4, Tony Phillips. Batting second and playing second base, number 1, Lou Whitaker. Batting third, the shortstop, number 24, Travis Fryman. Batting fourth, the first baseman, number 45, Cecil Fielder. Batting fifth, the designated hitter, number 23, Kirk Gibson. The sixth hitter, the right fielder, number 28, Rob Deere. Batting seventh, the catcher, number 20, Mickey Tettleton. Batting eighth, the third baseman, number 7, Scott Livingstone. And batting ninth, the center fielder, number 22, Milt Kyler. Today's starting pitcher warming up in the bullpen, number 21, Mike Moore.
For the Detroit Tigers, brought to you by Southwest Airlines in the outfield, Phillips, Kyler, and Deere. Around the infield, Livingstone, Fryman, Whitaker, Fielder, Tettleton behind the plate, and Mike Moore on the mound for the Tigers, making his second appearance against his former teammates.
Mike Moore isn't pitching against left-handers, isn't pitching against pinch hitters, he isn't pitching against the Yankees. He's pitching against time. He's pitching against the future, against age, and even when you think about his career, against ending. And tonight, I think he might be able to use that aching old arm one more time to push the sun back up in the sky and give us one more day of summer.
I loved the game. I was blessed to do what I did, but that's not who I am.